Hello, everybody. Welcome to the broadcast. It's your boy Aaron Arispe, and this is Arispe on America, where we discuss the political pulse of America and the world, man. Been offline for a couple of days now, man. Have been really busy. Had a lot to do over the weekend. Didn't get a chance to get online on Friday. Um, but yeah, man, there's plenty to discuss. Lots that happened over the weekend. You know from what's going on in Mexico. We're still in a government shutdown. We got another arrest in the Epstein files. Nick Shirley goes on another stupid, I guess, vote hunt in California. So we'll cover some of that, man. Just kind of talk about a little bit of everything, man. I don't really have anything too planned out today. I just wanted to get online. Was debating on whether or not I was gonna get on here in the first place today, but here we are, man. Here we are, episode 10. So, just with that being said, man, let's get into it. Let's start dissecting the news, man, and start formulating some opinions here. With that being said, let's start with this first video that I've been seeing going around, man. Like as I said, Nick Shirley, he's going around California currently trying to expose voter fraud. Kind of going on a similar campaign that he did in Minnesota, trying to expose all of the fraud of the Somali daycares. So I saw this one specifically, so let's go ahead and watch it, and we'll just kind of discuss it after we watch it together.
Here in California at this UPS store in San Diego, over 30 people are registered to vote as this is their primary residence. It's all right to have this as a location where you receive a ballot, but you can't have it as your primary
Just
residence.
just a quick little like tidbit. Like I mean, just look around, just look around the video, and you know, tell me what you see, or formulate that opinion for yourself as he's talking about this specific building that has all of these voters.
And all these people do right here. For instance, this lady right here, Gloria, she's 100 years old and she voted in the 2024 election. In fact, the large majority of these people voted in the 2024 election, and some of these people even have the exact same P.O. boxes. I don't think too many people can live inside of a P.O. box. And what's concerning about this is right now in Pollard Market, Gavin Newsom is also setting the stage to become the next Democrat nominee for the 2028 election. Meanwhile, there's massive voter fraud taking place. You actually don't even need an ID to vote here inside of California. And like I said, over 30 people are registered to vote inside of this UPS store alone. A little crazy. Here
A
in
little
California at this
quavy.
UPS
It's just
store in
it's just a little quavy, guys. I'm just saying. Bro, it's a fucking apartment complex. I mean, you can clearly see that this building right here is not just a UPS store. It's one of those apartments that has many stores at the bottom of the fucking building, right? Like this dude is going around trying to just convince, and he is convincing the entirety of the right, the MAGA conservative clowns out there that this is real, that there's actually 30 plus registered people at the UPS store committing voter fraud at the moment. Did y'all see that one where he literally was trying to expose the fact that there was a dog that was attempting to be like a registered voter, and it was a Republican, long like term, like lifelong Republican voter that tried to do that shit? It's a bunch of dummies, bro. A bunch of dummies. But yeah, man, like it's just like rhetoric like that, easily can be just misinterpreted, because people like to go and spread misinformation, and most people they're not gonna go ahead and do their research and, you know, uh, look further than just a TikTok video or a video on X, right? They're gonna see, oh yeah, Nick Shirley was right about this. He's gonna be right about that because they don't really like think for themselves. It's a bunch of motherfuckers that contribute to groupthink. One person you know with like conservative like content creators, a lot, like you'll see one person make a video and then the entirety of those motherfuckers will make the same type of video, and they do it over and over and over again for trends. These motherfuckers don't actually have original thoughts, like I said, over and over again. They're just uh contributing members to groupthink. And you have liberals that do the same thing, man. There's definitely um people on both of the spectrums here that contribute to this massive um hive mind type of thinking, to where they don't question anything that anybody else says. Like, their homie will say it and all of their homies will affirm it. So just because you and your friends are agreeing to this certain ideology, you're like, yeah, I guess I agree as well, because you're too fucking much of a bitch to actually go against your homies and say, hey, no, that's kind of wrong that you feel that way, bro. It's or just kind of willing to correct them, right? Willing to tell them, hey, that's actually false. You're committing a logical fallacy there and you're spreading this information that's actually not the truth. Most people, they just let their homeboys talk shit and, talk out of their ass.
Putin, like, I
That's
don't
what we
even
got.
know what to say to you. That's insane. There's by no measure, did Joe Biden's country, if you think that Joe Biden was a better leader or a
I
better
don't like
man
this
than
guy
Vladimir
right
Putin,
here.
like, I don't even know what to say
On
to
the
you.
left.
That's insane. There's by no
Can't
measure,
stand
by
him.
no
He
measure,
argues
did
so
Joe Biden's
stupidly.
country, the people he solemnly swore to help and defend, did they thrive? No, they withered. Putin, who's been there for 25 years, his country's improved. The people are happier. They like him, actually.
The war's been a little tough on Putin.
The war's, of course, it's been tough. Of course, it's been tough.
War's
I'd be
tough
curious
on
about
any
public opinion today,
any
this far into the
people.
war.
Well, actually, it's measured a lot. Yeah, look it up. And you can say, oh, that's all a lie. Okay, well, show me one.
Yeah.
Okay, go there.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not moving to Russia, but I mean, Putin has been the most effective leader in my lifetime. I can't think of a more effective one.
He's been a very stable leader for Russia.
But why is he more evil than Joe Biden?
Yeah, well,
I can't even conceptualize that. Like,
you could say, look, I don't know his religious views, but he's promoted Christianity within Russia
aggressively.
Yes, to combat liberalism and all these.
Yeah, I asked my wife this, like, I think literally like just yesterday, like, how much like information do we get about Russia, like, is propaganda? Like, how much of it is just like false? Like, how do the people there actually live? Because a lot of us here in America, we think that the Russians live like, I don't know, not even in a society that's comparable to America. Like, it's nowhere near as good of a quality of life as we're able to get. And we don't really see um the perspective of the Russian civilian, right? We don't actually know how the citizens of Russia live on a day-to-day basis. So who's to say whether or not they're happier as a people than we are here? There's a lot of outrage here in the country. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot of divisiveness. We don't have a unified people that can get behind one leader. It's very divided. Right now more than ever, everything's very polarized, and you don't see stuff like that. I mean, at least on the media about Russia. You see, for the majority of, the people, the citizens of Russia, that they kind of agree with Putin. They like Putin. They get down with what he's doing. So that has to beg the question, like, what has he done right? What has he done to, I guess, have his people be so docile, like, towards him? Why you look at like Russia's history, and it's just a history of corruption and assassinations and power struggle. Why has there not been a power struggle for over 20 something years now with Vladimir Putin? I don't have the answers, but it does lead us to beg that question, does it not?
A lot of money personally, and you've enriched a lot of corporations with advertising by getting on here and spewing lies and conspiracy theories to folks who trust you. And so what I'm asking you to do is to tell your voters right now that Donald Trump lost the election in 2020. Can you resolve the lie that is Democrats are now for voter ID? It's not your show, sir, but at least you resolved the idea that Democrats are not for voter ID. Did Donald Trump lose the election in 2020? Real quick. Can you answer the question? Did Donald Trump lose the election in 2020? I'm answering questions. Don't really feel any obligation to answer anything. An uncomfortable question for you? No. You have made a lot of money personally. And
these guys are so avoidant when they don't want to answer something that might contradict their current like rhetoric, right? Their current statements, the kind of shit that they're pushing out there at the moment. That's the kind of fighter that we need right there. That's the kind of energy that we need out of Tallarico, is that combative, like, not so timid, not so reserved type of energy. We need people that are gonna come at these guys' throats whenever it's needed, and in a respectful manner, right? In a way that seems democratic still, which I like that. Oh my god. Look at this shit, man. This is crazy.
So everybody is being told to leave the area right now here on the beach. The tiki bar is being cleared out.
I couldn't imagine just being on vacation, chilling while there's like a war basically going on behind me.
They're asking that everybody vacate the area and leave immediately. You can see the smoke. I don't know if you can, the smoke in the sky. But we were just walking on the beach and we saw smoke everywhere. And we're being informed that there's major cartel violence happening right now all over Puerto Vallarta. Apparently, they've captured a top-ranking cartel member, and when that happens, all-out war happens. A number of cars have been set on fire, motorcycles set on fire. In fact, there were some attendees of Anarchapulco who were in a taxi cab. Taxi drivers are apparently targeted by the cartel. They were they had their car shot at, the taxi driver was murdered, and the car was set on fire. All of their luggage has been burnt, including their clothes and passports, in fact. So it's a pretty scary, dire situation right now. We're being told, do not go out at all, do not walk in the streets, do not get in a taxi or an Uber, do not go to the airport. In fact, the entire airport may be shut down right now because of this cartel violence. I mean, we heard Trump mentioning a while back that he's going to go after the cartel in Mexico. Is this the beginning of that? Are we witnessing it live? I don't know, but everybody here has just been instructed to leave the area immediately. The entire beach here is being shut down. It's clearing out. And really intense situation going on here in Puerto Vallarta. So I'm gonna continue to document this as we do. We're gonna stay safe in our hotel. Damn, I don't know if you can see the smoke in the air, but it's all over the place. It's thinned out now in the last hour, but apparently, from what I understand,
that's horrible. Let's see if there's the latest news, man.
I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like, I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just trying to impress upon you. I'm like you. I'm no better than you. I'm a 960 SAT guy. and I'm not trying to offend anyone, trying to act all there if you got 940. But literally a 960 SAT guy. I cannot, you've never seen me read a speech because I cannot read a speech. I'm not trying to impress you.
Yeah, I heard a lot. I've seen a lot of them. Look, let's see what this guy is saying. Governor Gavin Newsom went to Atlanta and told the crowd that he is just like them. He had a 960 SAT score and that he can't read speeches. How insulting. Working class people believe in politicians are out of touch because they don't worry about the cost of or rent of medical bills. Yeah, so like I think that he right now is currently on like he's on a book tour, right? Going around the country trying to promote this book that he wrote that essentially is trying to convince the American people that I'm just like you. Hey, like I'm a normal guy. I'm an average Joe. I come from, same place that all of you came from. I'm a regular dude that went to school, here and this and that and whoop de whoop, you know what I'm saying? So he's been going on this press tour and everything and trying to promote this, and he's in Atlanta, Georgia. And he's in front of a predominantly black audience. More or less, it's more than normal, right? Because he appeals to a lot of like quote unquote white Dems, white liberals, right? So he's in front of this group of people in Atlanta, Georgia, and then claims he has a 960 SAT score. So a lot of people are taking it and spinning the narrative as if he's kind of saying like, "Hey, I'm just as dumb as you guys are. Hey, y'all's SAT scores have to be like this. Y'all are just average Americans, and average Americans are stupid. So hey, I'm kind of stupid too." And I mean, if that's the way that you want to like interpret it, then fine. You can clip it out of context and make it seem that way. But I think that he said this already multiple times, like at other like press releases or other interviews and everything, at least two other times. So it's not like so surprising. If you had the context to know that he's already kind of claimed that, hey, I have a 960 SAT score, and that's kind of the thing that he's been throwing around, and it really didn't catch attention until he said it in front of a black crowd, then why is there outrage now and not outrage, two speeches ago? That's the other thing that I'm trying to point out is that a lot of people they have like false moral outrage. I don't really think that he was trying to be like a racist straight up. I don't think we should support people who think that the American people are dumb. That is true. I mean, if you do think the American people are stupid, you know, maybe you shouldn't just straight up say it, especially when you're trying to put out your bid for the 2028 presidential election, trying to put yourself up there as the next Democratic uh primary. I understand why he said it. Look at the reaction he got. The moderator laughed. I'm sure the audiences nodded in approval. So, if he's not punished for saying things like this and in fact rewarded, what's the incentive to stop? I mean, yeah, I didn't really get like a negative reaction in the moment, It seems like it's a lot of moral outrage from the internet, not necessarily from the community that were actually there. I think it actually got spun out of context on the internet, and now people are like, "Oh, you know what? Maybe he actually was being a little bit of a racist. Maybe he was being a bit of a fucking asshole and condescending. Maybe that was a backhanded ass compliment." Type of shit. I mean, and it kind of was, but at the same time, I don't know if it was intentional. I just think people like that are completely. He's trying so hard to claim that he's like somebody uh comparable to me and you, but in fact, he's just somebody who's completely out of touch with our reality. These types of politicians, they're not necessarily like me or you at all. I mean, from what I've read, he went to a privileged school, went to a privileged area, lived in a privileged community, had a pretty nice upbringing, nice community, blah 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 blah. So, and I don't think that necessarily determines whether or not you're like the everyday person. It's your ability to be empathetic and connect with people, right? Your ability to actually communicate and connect with the everyday person. You can say, "Hey, I'm like you. Hey, I'm a normal guy." But at the second that you have a chance to interact with the everyday person and you don't actually appear to be genuine, then nobody's gonna fucking buy your shit. You know what I'm saying? You're obviously just peddling out slogans like every other politician does. You got to make it seem like you actually care about the people. That, cause you got to act as if the little person isn't beneath you, right? Because a lot of politicians, they act like their shit don't stink, and that because they're in this realm, this section, or this, they operate in this separate reality than the rest of us operate, that they are a better, that they're quote unquote elitists. And I mean, politicians are, man. I mean, sadly, there's not a lot of genuine politicians out there. There really isn't. The sons of Gordon Getty and Justice Bill Newsom are opening a wine shop in Cow Hollow in March called Plump Jack after the opera Getty wrote based on the false. Is he from the Getty family? I didn't know that. Gordon Getty. I don't even know who Gordon Getty is. Let's see. If I'm right, he's a part of the Getty family. What's going on? Sorry. Oh, I think they're the Suns. Okay, hold on. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? I don't really care. Shit. Here's the actual room. Are they? They don't look like a predominantly white crowd. He didn't say that to the room. He said that to the other guy who was black. It was a majority white crowd, but the racist Republicans only believe he was talking to black people. Obviously. An obvious attempt to start some nonsense. Yeah, obviously, like, look at this shit. I mean, I know it's a little bit dark and shit, but this is obviously not, as I just stated before, I thought it was a predominantly, from what I had heard, predominantly black audience, but this seems to be a predominantly white audience, so I don't think that, uh, the narrative is as correct as the way that people are spinning it. If anything, you motherfuckers are racist as shit for claiming the fact that it was Georgia, that it would just be a fucking crowd of black people. That simply because they were in Atlanta, that the audience was going to be predominantly fucking African American. That's racist as shit, motherfuckers. Democratic Party has officially abandoned black people for immigrants. 60 years of black loyalty thrown away. Had the Dems ever fought for blacks like they fought for immigrants? Had blacks. I wouldn't necessarily say that the Democrats just turn their backs on like black people. They turn their backs on the entirety of like the working class. So that does include black people. I do agree that yes, they turn their backs on you. Both parties, I think, in a nutshell, turn their backs on black people. But they also turn their backs on the entirety of the, blue collar workforce that's out there. They kind of went more corporate. They serve the interest of the elite, of the 1%, of the billionaires as well. They don't really support the interest of any of us. So it's not just, you can't just like take all of this and overgeneralize it to just black people. Oh, y'all are the only ones. It's the entirety of us, down from the 99% to the, to the 1%, down all the way to the bottom. Sorry guys. My brain isn't all there today because I had a headache and I still have a massive ass migraine and I got this bright ass light like right in front of me. But told myself that the show must go on. The show must go on, right guys? We are living in the stupidest timeline ever. Nick Shirley alleges fraud because California voters are registered at the same address as the UPS store. The UPS store is in the same building as a bunch of apartments where voters live. Like, I mean, yeah, I just said that. This is obvious. You can see it right here that there are literally apartments above the fucking UPS store. These people are literally stupid as hell. Oh my god. The UPS store is not a physical address that one can register to vote. Each apartment had its own unique address. Yeah. Um, this is stupid as shit, man. I'm Nick Thurley. This is just one of the many examples of fraud that have been exposed, where many people are using the same address on their registrations, and there weren't apartments nearby. If you're thinking, you would understand that the UPS store here has a different address than the apartments. Each apartment would be different as well. If they were all the same address, who would get the USPS mail? Maybe you should delete this comment so you don't look foolish. I don't know,
This UPS
dude.
store in San Diego, over 30 people are registered to vote as this is their primary residence. It's all right to have this as a location where you're receiving.
He's not necessarily showing the paper, so we can't really determine whether or not, like, empirically, if the evidence is there that there weren't apartment numbers. He could just be overgeneralizing, and they could be there, and he's just like, oh yeah, no, there's a bunch of people that are registered to vote here. You don't have the paper in front of you. He should have taken a screenshot of his little clipboard there and attached it to the video. That way we at least have evidence of his claims, right? That way we can cross-reference and kind of do a little bit of investigating ourselves and actually come to a logical conclusion that's based on facts and evidence, not just based off of false claims and divisive rhetoric. Because right now what we're doing is none of us know really what the answer is. We're all saying that, oh, it's this or it's that. He says that there's 30 people registered here, and then we say that, well, there's apartments there. So, you know, that's obviously what the address is meant. You know, and then the argument really is, you know, it begs the question at least that, well, what do the apartment numbers say? Are there apartment numbers there? Is he just bullshit? Is he blowing smoke up our ass? Because this guy isn't the smartest dude in the world. You know, he's very illiterate. I mean, if you've heard him speak, if you've heard him on an interview, it's not like he's super sharp. So that being said, like, he could just be spreading misinformation.
But you can't have it as your primary residence. All these people do, right?
I'm Nick Shirley, and I don't like making fun of people too much, but come on, guy. The alleged botters of Twitch went live today.
Bobby!
Fucking stupid, dude. Oh my god. This is fucking hilarious. I need to laugh. That's funny. Dude, that's using AI for good, people.
Flying, Bobby!
That's how you use AI for good. Sorry, I gotta be a troller. I gotta troll these motherfuckers.
Our side. I have no animosity toward him. I regret that it got personal for some folks, but it never has for me. It's
Give me a second, guys. I gotta go to the bathroom.
What do you make of this reversal after months of fighting you?
Well, the Speaker, the Attorney General, the FBI Director, the President, and the Vice President could have saved us all this time and embarrassment, frankly, for our own party if they'd just done the right thing 4 months ago.
Do you believe him, Congressman? I mean, for weeks he's been pushing against this. Now he says he supports it. Do you buy it?
He's only supporting it because the President told him to support it.
No,
that's what Mike Johnson does.
No, I'm talking about, do you buy President Trump saying that he wants the House to pass this resolution?
Well, I'm concerned that now he's opening a flurry of investigations, and I believe they may be trying to use those investigations as a predicate for not releasing the files. That's my concern.
You think they'll try to block it?
Well, they will. I'm afraid they're going to try to use a provision of the law that allows you not to release these materials if they're subject of an ongoing investigation and would harm, and the release of which would harm the ongoing investigation.
So what do you think this is all about for President Trump? First he was blocking this, pushing Republicans to block this for so long. Now he's reversing course, and he has the power to release the full files anyway.
Well, it's pretty simple. For 4 months, he thought the best thing for him was to keep the files secret, and somebody convinced him that the best thing for him was to release the files. And if they're serious about it, they should release them right now. It's that simple.
Why do you think he is working so hard not to get them released for so many months? What do you think the real reason is?
These files implicate billionaires and friends of his and political donors that he's trying to protect. And Epstein also had close ties to our own intelligence agencies and Israel's intelligence agencies. That's why there's so much effort in trying to stop this. And I do believe they'll try to stop it somewhere else. And that's going to backfire on them too.
So the president's saying he'll sign it. You don't buy that?
No, I think he'll sign it. I want to be there at the signing party.
Think he'll be invited?
I've never seen somebody not get invited to sign their own bill.
But what about just the personal nature of this? I mean, again, he goes after you, your wife, calls Marjorie Taylor Greene a traitor.
Let's be clear, he went after my late wife and my current wife.
What do you think about that?
I think it's a new low for him, but again, we laughed it off. It's more to his detriment than mine that he, put something like that out. But I think it was beyond the pale, and if that's what it took for him to go that far to realize he needs to support this instead of opposing it, then that's okay.
And
by the way, my wife has laughed about it. She did tell me to invite Trump to the wedding, and I didn't, so she blames me for him getting mad.
Are you optimistic this will pass tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it's going to pass. I think it's going to pass with a veto-proof majority.
Do you think the speaker will support it?
I think begrudgingly he has to at this point.
Congressman, you obviously had your differences with President Trump in the past, but Congressman Green was one of his closest allies, one of his strongest supporters. What do you make of the fact that over the Epstein files it prompted such a public and searing breakup?
Well, Marjorie represents the base. I mean, she represents what we campaigned on, more so than me even, the populist movement that, brought Trump into the White House. And when he told his supporters that they're no longer his supporters, if they still
in Minnesota and the voter fraud here in Georgia. We were just laughing about it.
Yeah, it's funny because if we were to trust the voter rolls, that means that 96 people are supposed to be sleeping in there, using the bathroom, showering, cooking.
As their main residents.
As their main residents, the same way how there's supposed to be a certain amount of kids at a daycare when they go and visit these daycares in Minnesota owned by Somalis. It's the exact same thing. And a key thing that people don't understand is that all of the welfare fraud starts with voter fraud. If you end up on a voter registration list, you can suddenly start to claim benefits because, oh my God, now you have a residential address.
Yep, exactly. So now they know where to send the checks to.
Well, we're at a UPS store located at 2625 Piedmont Road Northeast in Atlanta, Fulton County, where apparently 96 people are right now actively registered to vote. And the reason we're laughing is because this is such a clear violation of law in Georgia. And the reason we're laughing is because this is the reason we're registered to vote. And the reason
From what they clipped, it looks like every single suite is damn near different. So yes, 2625 Piedmont Road, whatever NE means, Atlanta. But then if you look at all of these right here in this column, it's saying 56 through 487, 363, 56 607, 56 27, 56 52, 56 something, 363, 56 332, 394, 56 3, 56 3, apartment 56 29, 56 351, 56 34, suite 363, 56 363, 401. I mean, those are all individually individual specific stores or suites. I don't necessarily know why they're registered as their residential areas. I don't know if that's illegal. Is it illegal to use your business as your address for voting? Let's look it up. To use business address for voter registration. Having to read through some shit. Let's see. Using a business address for voter registration depends on whether the address is your actual legal residence. In most U.S. states, voter registration requires you to register at your residential address, meaning the place where you physically live and intend to remain. If you do not live at the business address and you list it as your residence, that can constitute voter registration fraud, which is a crime. Penalties include fines, cancellation of registration, or even felony charges in some states. If you both live and work at business addresses, such as mixed use buildings, or if you legitimately reside there, it may be lawful, but you would need to meet your state's residency requirements. States generally define residency as the place where you sleep most nights and consider your primary home. If you are temporarily without housing, blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, that kind of answers that. So, I don't necessarily know why there are people registered at even, a shopping center of sorts like this, and if there are people that are registered at these types of places, then we need to get them held accountable and, prosecute them to the proper degree, obviously, you know but making like fake videos, like it's a little bit easier for me to justify something like this where I see that it's a clear shopping center, but the other one it's harder because of the fact that it was an apartment complex clearly in front. And just like this, it had different suites. That paper that he had, I'm sure had different suites. It's a spreadsheet, and I need to see the apartment addresses on there listed before I make, you know, my final judgment here. As should everybody. Everybody should always beg the question. You should always ask yourself, well, is that complete fact or is that a false? Is that, are they committing a fallacy? Are they lying? Are they misinterpreting something? Are they spreading misinformation? Don't always fucking accept things for at face value, guys. Always ask questions. You're better than that. You're smarter than that. You have a brain, use it. You know what I'm saying? Don't just regurgitate the same shit that you see on TikTok. Even with things that I say, go out there, question me, do your own research. And if I'm fucking over here lying, call me out on it. Just like I call these motherfuckers out for it. Hold me accountable in the same way that I tell myself that I have to hold these people accountable, right? I honestly thought that it had to be a deep fake or something because it's so insane and racist beyond belief. But just like we saw with the French Laundry, Gavin really is a cartoon villain of white liberal elitism. I mean, I'm not a big fan of Gavin either. He's not my favorite like Democratic candidate. I'm not like super like pro Newsom, you know what I'm saying? He's not like my first go-to for the Democratic candidate of 2028 for the presidential election. Some people really love him, some people really hate him. I'm just kind of somebody who really doesn't care. Either way, he's not my favorite. So, but I feel like this is just being spun, to fit a narrative. How many times do we have to expose Nick Shirley? Dude may just be the lowest IQ troglodyte of the bunch. They're not sending their best. Yeah. Look at that. See, look at how quickly fake narratives take hold. It wasn't a black convention. It was a book tour with a rather white crowd. He never accused the audience of being dumb or brought up race. Exactly, dude. Not once did he ever tell these people that you're stupid because you're black. And the Republicans are definitely trying to spin that narrative, man. They want outrage for Newsom. They want to destroy his name, any way that they can before 2028 comes along, dude. Because they're at the end of the day, they're scared of people like him. They're scared. They don't want to have any strong candidates going into the Democratic election that could challenge them, or to the presidential election that could challenge them. Look at that. That's a predominantly white crowd. I don't see any African Americans there. I don't see anybody who's black. I see a bunch of white people. I strongly dislike Gavin Newsom, but I try to be fair, and the MAGA racism allegation against him seems to be a hoax. The original claim was that Newsom told a black audience he was just like them because he had a low SAT score and struggles with reading due to dyslexia. Turns out that the audience was mostly white, and he has made similar self-depreciating comments to other audience, as I said before. citing that his SAT scores and citing his SAT and reading struggles. Verdict is somewhat cringeworthy, pandering, but it's not racism. And Republicans who are stretching themselves to insist otherwise are engaging in the exact kind of context stripping, pearl clutching, bad faith bigotry accusation that they rightly decried on the left for years. Yeah, 100%. 100%, dude. I'm telling you, they're just trying to spin a narrative so they can, um, I don't know what's the word, man. I'm telling you, I have a fucking migraine today, so it's like hard to think. They're just trying to shit on his name. You know what I'm saying? They wanna make him look like a bad guy.
Which proves two things: how young you are. Started 960 SAT. I asked you about
There,
your
there it
SAT.
is.
Started 960 SAT. I asked you about your SAT.
I don't
You said,
know. I
"The hell
I
is
took
that?"
the ACT.
You took the ACT, which proves two things: how young you are and how different things were. You grew up in started 960 SAT.
He's saying it to a white man right there. What's this guy got to say?
And scored less than 1,000 in the SAT that he can relate to the black experience. That's what he said to a room of black and brown people in the city of Atlanta, Georgia, just this past weekend. And this man said this with a straight face, because he scored a 960 on the SAT. He was just like me. Well, Gavin, let me tell you something. I didn't score a 960 on the SAT. I scored a lot higher than that on the SAT. And by the way, a lack of academic performance or the ability to excel within school doesn't make you black. But what it does do, if you think that that does make you black, is that it makes you a racist, right? So it's so funny to me that the Democrats, while they no longer wear those white hooded robes that the KKK would run around in as they terrorize black people, they still find a way to remind us in ways big and small that they did used to wear those robes. Apparently, Gavin Newsom's heart still wears that robe because he thinks that being a dumbass makes you black. Gavin, you are disgusting in every which way, and this moment from this day will haunt you for a time long to come.
Oh my god, dude, shut the fuck up. My god, dude, that was corny. That was like a corny rage rant, bro. I hate people that do that kind of stuff, bro. Like, did you even watch the entirety of the video and like maybe do a little bit more research before you just went out there and tried to make a video like this? Obviously not, because if you look, the audience was not predominantly black. It was a predominantly white crowd from what it looked like. But you motherfuckers are out here spinning a narrative just because it was Atlanta, Georgia. You just assume that it was a predominantly black crowd. That shit's crazy as hell, bro. You don't even know what you're talking about. You're over here just yelling and screaming. Got a loud ass with your loud ass message, hoping that it fucking sticks. And obviously it's getting traction. But dude, you're spinning a false narrative, bro. You don't even know what you're talking about at this point in time. Let's see what the comments say. Where was the energy when blah, 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 blah. Yeah, when Trump's meme that Obama. Yeah. What Gavin Newsom said was not racist. He was making a point by telling them about his struggles with dyslexia. Watch the entire video before you get outraged about it. By the way, you black conservatives love to call Democrats racist, but overlook the glaring racism from this. Let's see what they got. Sit this one from this administration. Sit this one out, Snowflake. You're such a fucking MAGA bootlicker lying to your following. Yeah, exactly. You're just spreading a fucking lie, bro. And now you're gonna have it's people like you that tell a bunch of stupid motherfuckers that think that you're spreading the truth. It'll convince them that this actually happened, that he was actually doing this, and then they go spread it on their Facebook. And then their friends spread it on their Facebook. And then it just spreads like wildfire.
Towards the end of his speech he gave at the White House. Breaking. A clip is going viral from this morning of Donald Trump wandering away towards the end of his speech he gave at the White House. He clutches the podium for support and oddly walks back towards a locked door. Donald Trump is not well. Is he gonna speak? Oh. This is after rambling about election integrity for angel families.
If it wasn't rigged, it was a rigged election by millions and millions of votes.
Dude, why is he still rehashing stuff that is not true from 5 years ago? The election was not rigged. He's been in power for a year. They've illustrated no fraud because there wasn't any. Republican judges said there was no fraud, and he's just vindictive, rambling. Breaking. A clip is going
100%.
viral from this morning.
Bro, he's
of
not
Donald
looking too hot, man. His brain just doesn't look as sharp as it once was, man. He don't got that fight in him like he once did. You look at videos from like 2016, dude. Look, let's look up some 2016 rally videos. 2016 Trump rally videos. Let's see. I'm sure he sounds a lot more sharp here, more coherent.
And I say this all the time because it's hard to believe. 70,000 factories. I thought it was a typo. I thought it was 700 or 7,000. It's 70,000 factories since China entered the World Trade Organization, another Bill and Hillary-backed disaster. Under my contract, if a company wants to fire their workers, move to Mexico or other countries, and ship their products back into the United States, as I said, we will put a 35% tax or tariff on those products, and they will not leave. They're not going to leave. Now, the politicians knew this. Some of them did. Some of them probably don't because they don't have any basic understanding of the way the system works. But a lot of them knew this, but they're controlled by special interests. You know, I'll have over $100 million invested in this campaign. Meaning, you know, if I don't win, I will consider that some of these dishonest people back here, and they are among the world's most dishonest, they are disgusting. They are politically correct. You're going to be rich again. We're going to make a rich country again. We need to be a rich country again. If we're going to do what we have to do in terms of infrastructure, which is a disaster. You know, we spent $6 trillion in the Middle East. We could have rebuilt our country twice. And we are now in far worse shape in the Middle East than if our president just went to the beach every day. Right? Or
That was him in 2016. This is him literally today.
And our media totally ignored, and I've seen it. When I first got involved with the angel families, I had a meeting. It was so sad. And they got up and spoke, and the media literally just turned off the cameras. They didn't want to hear them. It was my first glimpse as to what was happening. These are sick people that cover stories like that, or that don't cover them, which is worse. Everyone in this room not only suffered an infinite loss, they were the victims of politicians who put the comfort of foreign criminals before the safety of American citizens and American patriots. Their stories were censored and suppressed. So in 1900, 125 years, the murders, the lowest rate. You know why? Because I closed the borders, and we got a lot of people out. It's not just closing, we got a lot of people out. Washington, D.C. is now a safe place. We don't want to close the borders with them in here. We got a lot of them out, and we got many of the worst ones out. We go for them first. But
Yeah, he's just not as much fight, not as much power as he used to have, man. Let's see if they got that video they're talking about here. Where's the president? No, they ain't showing it.
Katie Abraham.
Oh, here we go. Turn up the volume because they weren't showing what he was saying. Oh, you can't hear shit. I mean, it didn't really seem like you know, something to make a video about. But instead of honoring them, he stood at the podium and whined about the election being rigged. I mean, that's something to make a video about. That's annoying as shit. I mean, yeah, he did just kind of talk about bullshit while he should have been talking about the angel families. Ay, ay, ay. This country.
Gonzalez resign given these very serious accusations?
There are serious accusations, and it must be taken seriously. And I've told him he's got to address that with his constituents, and he's in the process of doing that. Is my understanding. There's an investigation in the state of Texas on these matters, and has been going for some time. And the Office of Congressional Conduct has also, it's been reported. They've been looking at it. And all of that was news to me. But I think, as in every case like this, you have to allow the investigations to play out in
Representative Tony Gonzalez, who engaged in enormous scandals surrounding a sexual affair with a staffer, ultimately killed themselves. Johnson is going this to protect his own majority. Yeah.
against, for example, the expulsion of George Santos a while back, because he had been accused.
Man.
I think at the minimum, you got to be a small business owner. I don't know how people do the wage thing. That's just like a diabolical scheme. I don't know how people are not like rioting in the streets. You live like that every day. Damn, you live like this. And 3 months out of the year, you work for the government, which is actually a cash transfer to black people. Think about that. Everything I just said, you do that, 200 and however many days out of the year. You do that 250 days out of the year. Wake up with the alarm clock, shower, pack your lunch, put on your polo and slacks, get in the car, drive to work. You do that 250 days out of the year. And out of that, it's 70 of those days you're working for black people. Because the government is withholding 25% out of your paycheck per year. 25% of the year is 3 months. And then they take your paycheck and they give it to Venezuelans, Somalians, Israel.
All right, dude. Oh, look at that. Nick Shirley claims 2,100 people are registered to vote at California 7-Eleven fails to see the giant apartment building at the same address. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's over here saying that it's like the store, but doesn't fucking address the fact that there's like these big ass developments right behind him. I swear, dude. Some people are just, they get famous for the stupidest fucking reasons. Oh, damn back. Gavin Newsom, like the only thing that people are talking about today. Not really much going on today, guys. Not really a lot of like news. I mean, other than like the cartels, obviously causing a bunch of havoc in Mexico over the capture and death of Elemencho. But I mean, trying to cover some of the things going on here at the moment, but not really much going on at the moment. Not gonna lie. I mean, obviously there is shit going on, but like not really much developing news at the moment. I can always look at the New York Times. Like I said, I got a massive headache today, so a little slow on the points today. Didn't get much of a chance to Do research for before. Got an ice whistleblower. Let's see what we got going on here. This seems important. Look at that. We got some news. We found something. Shit,
probably not going to have any
finally.
more
Fuck.
colleagues from either side, but I have some more questions, so I'm going to go into them, not at huge length, but you've been very, very helpful and cooperative, and I want to thank you in advance.
1 second.
You know, the truth is that as we speak, literally, as you are here, the Trump administration is arming a paramilitary force, a new class of recruits, sending them out on the streets to repeat this kind of violence and brutality. It isn't an isolated or aberrant instance. It's the result of intentional institutional decisions, and we've documented here through the memo that Acting Director Lyons prepared and then concealed. It was used to instruct trainers like Mr. Schwank, beginning when he started in May, or rather in September. The memo dates from May. And it was used for hundreds of agents who now are on the streets and in our neighborhoods. These agents now have less training than most of the police officers in our police departments throughout Connecticut and throughout the country. They have less training than the state police of Connecticut and other state police forces throughout the country. And maybe even more shockingly, they have training to break the law, which would never be tolerated in our communities. Police chiefs who wrote this kind of memo would be fired. They would be discharged, and they would never find another job in policing. Advising and training members of their police force to break down doors, barge into people's homes, arrest or detain them without a warrant, a systematic, purposeful policy to break the law, would result in firing that police chief. And yet what we have is brutal and violent tactics being used by ICE and CBP tactics with the approval, in fact, encouragement of the very head of ICE, who said to me that this memo was distributed through an email throughout the department. Mr. Schwank, to your knowledge, was this memo ever distributed?
Thank you, Senator. To my knowledge, this memo was never distributed to staff in general. In fact, when I came to the Academy in September, I had never seen it despite being a counsel for the agency. I never saw it again after it was shown to me that first time and maybe one other time when it was shown to me. Other than someone physically handing me the document, I never saw it again. And right before I left, I checked the repository where the agency keeps a copy of every official memo and policy guidance that is in effect, and there is no copy of it there. And Senator, I will point out to you, if we look at this document, if we look at it, every memo issued by ICE has a control number. It has something on it that indicates that it is an official policy document and where it falls in the agency's archives. And that's not on this document anywhere. Also, anytime we issue a memo, there is something in the document to control its release, something that says law enforcement only or for official use only, classified, secret, something. And there's nothing on this memo that says that. Nowhere on this memo is there anything that would let you know that this is an official policy of the agency. And to my knowledge, it's never been disseminated as one. It's been handed out piecemeal to people to use when the agency thinks they need to.
which directly undercuts the veracity of Acting Director Lyons' testimony under oath before a congressional committee. I want to go into some of the details here because I think they are so revealing, Mr. Schwank. You started your job at ICE in September of last year. This memo dates from May. How did you first see this memo?
Thank you, Senator. So I've been with ICE for about 4.5 years, but I was an instructor at Glencoe from September. The memo was shown to me by my supervisor at Glencoe. It was given to me in person with instructions that I could read it, but not take any notes on it, that I could read it in their presence, and that was it. And that I was going to teach from it, but I couldn't keep a copy of it to reference. And I couldn't document that I taught it to anyone, just that I could read it.
You were to train on it, but your supervisor didn't want you to have a copy of it for fear that it might be revealed. And in fact, it was revealed only when whistleblowers came to me, brave and strong as they were, came to me, put their professional careers
Boring. Mm. Seriously. Yeah, look at that.
Security and Medicare. He intends to surrender our fight against the climate crisis, and he intends to end the Affordable Care Act. You know what? If you want Donald Trump to win, then say that, otherwise I'm speaking.
Oh, man. You know, man, honestly. Not really much more to talk about right now. I think I'm gonna probably pop off for the day, man. My head hurts, dude. I got this stupid ass fucking ring light in my face. It's horrible. Um, and I keep going low on my blood sugar, so yeah. I'm probably gonna hop off, man. I've been having a crappier day. Hopefully next episode's a little bit better. You know, my bad about not being so energetic today. I'll catch you guys I'll catch you guys next time, man. I'm gonna pop off. Peace out, guys. Y'all have a good day.